Let's say you have a great idea for a book and you really want to write that book, but the biggest problem, the biggest hindrance for you in writing it is you just don't know how you're going to find the time. Well, I'd like to help you with that. Hey, everybody. I'm Rikki Heller from rikkiheller.com. I'm a writer, editor, and book coach. And I not only am going to help you find the time to write your book, I can help you write it so that you can actually get it done and finally share your message with the world. How amazing would that be? So today I want to talk about finding time because I think this is a huge issue, not only for writers, for everybody about around the things they want to do every day, but particularly for writers who feel that their lives are already so full. We're all so overbooked every day as it is. How the heck are you going to fit in an hour a day to write your book? The good news is, number one, you don't need an hour a day. You only need literally minutes a day, and that can still lead you to a finished book. Nevertheless, how do you find that time, right? So one of the things that if you are in business, you've heard of, but probably before, is called the Pareto principle. And that's also known as the 80-20 rule. And this is the concept that 80% of your business's profits come from 20% of the work you actually do. So that means out of everything that happens in a business during the day, it's 20% of the activities that are really mostly directly responsible for the profits. It's the same for entrepreneurs with online businesses or service businesses that if you think about your client base, usually 80% of your sales come from 20% of your customers. So I want to apply this to writing and sort of life in general. And in order for it to work, we need to then flip it. We need to consider the 80% so that we can then work on the 20%. So if 20% of what you're doing in a day is really essential and is really kind of moving the needle for you in terms of your day-to-day life and your schedule, then what within that other 80% can you eliminate? Okay, so think about the things that you do that are not accomplishing what you want to get done with your days. And then once you find those and eliminate them, you're going to free up that amount of time. So let me give you an example. I know someone who had an incredibly successful career as a television journalist. And she was beloved in her town. She was really good at what she did. But if somebody dropped in to say hi at her house, if one of her friends came for the weekend or came unexpectedly, they would have found a very messy house because she decided it was less important to spend her time picking up the kids' clothes after them or dusting the coffee table in the den than it was to work on her craft of journalism. And so she had a great career, but the key was that she didn't let that other stuff bother her. If you're somebody who absolutely loves a tidy, immaculate house, and you can't give up that kind of thing, consider if you could afford to maybe hire a cleaner once in a while. Or for people like me, I cook everything from scratch because I have to for my diet. And what that means is I spend a lot of time in the kitchen. So I found ways to save time in the kitchen. I looked at how I was spending my time and where was I really kind of, excuse me, where was I really kind of wasting time that I could have used for something else. And so one of the things I did was batch cooking, where, I prepare several meals at once, a lot of freezing meals in advance and so on. And I freed up hours a week by doing that. So just go through your day and think about where are you using time that isn't essential and what are you willing to give up? You know, I've been spending a lot of time in recent weeks with my husband watching Netflix. That's one of the ways we spend time together. We watch TV together. If it were up to me, I'd never watch TV. So I could cut out all that Netflix. If I lived alone, I could cut out all that Netflix and have an hour a night free if I wanted to work on my writing after my work day. Because in this case, I've decided it's more important to spend time with my husband. I'm watching Netflix. But if you're someone who watches TV mindlessly, I don't watch any other television besides that Netflix. And that was a conscious choice. When I decided to stop watching the news every night, that was an hour of my life I got back. And guess what? I still know what's going on in the world. You hear it in other ways. So anything that you can do to eliminate time spent on something that isn't bringing you towards your goals, that's time that you want to free up. And even if it's only 5 minutes a day. So if you decide today that you really don't need to rearrange the mugs in the cupboard in the kitchen, that's going to be 10 minutes that you can use for your writing. And once you find those minutes and really start using them regularly, even like I said, if it's 5 minutes a day, you will be surprised at how over time your book is going to get written. So that's just one way to find extra time for yourself by looking at the 80% and that 80-20 rule and determining where you can free up some time on things that maybe aren't as important to you. And let's not forget that our priorities are going to change over time, right? So maybe right now, you can use something like HelloFresh instead of cooking from scratch every night. That's going to save you probably 45 minutes to an hour every night, and it's worth it to you now. Maybe as your kids get older, as you get older, you're going to feel that it's much more important to do that yourself. And so then the time priority is going to change and you can find some extra time somewhere else. But there's always, for everybody, I've never met a person who uses every single second of their day totally efficiently and they don't have even 5 minutes that they can free up where they can actually write something. So that's just the first step. Find the time, use it for your writing. You're going to be amazed at how much more you can get done on that book, even in 5 minutes a day. Obviously, if you have more, use more, that would be great. And one of the ways that you can find that time, I can help you to do that. I can help you to find these little pockets of time. And then through something like accountability coaching, ensure that you actually do the writing by reporting back, by having deadlines, by having an exchange with your coach, so that we can talk about your book and how can you write it in a way that's more efficient and get it done and be happy with the work that you write. So if that's something that interests you, I'd love to hear from you. You can either set up an appointment with me or go straight to my website, rickiheller.com, and look at all the descriptions of what I offer. But if you'd like to set up an appointment, there's a link in the show notes below. Just click more and see the resources, or go to bit.ly /Ricky Consult, and you can set up a free time for us to talk and figure out the best way for you to write your book. All right, everybody, thanks for joining me again today. Hope to see you next time. Have a great week.